you've used hypnotherapy for PMDD.
Yes. And
Okay.
it's like it's not meant to be curable, this thing. It's like hysterectomy. That's what we've got on offer for you.
Right.
And many of my
Yeah.
clients, when they're about to get a hysterectomy, they're on the waiting list, and then by some miracle, they come across me on a podcast or my Instagram account or something, and they read client stories. There's a whole lot of clients out there who've just been on Reddit going, "Oh my God, you have to join the Red Tent program. It's just completely transformed my life." And so they'll find me, and they're, at their wits' end. They've tried everything. They've done all the supplements. They're doing yoga. They've done talk therapy. But they've not done this protocol, which includes RTT, but I also use metacognitive psychology. It's sort of combined.
Welcome to my podcast, I Think I Can. My intention for the podcast is for individuals to begin a transformational journey towards self-awareness and self-actualization. And I do this by telling my own story, as well as all the stories from my past clients. And I do this so that you too can feel safe knowing that change is available to you, but also so you can take more responsibility for your life in 3 specific ways: in your health, your self, and your wealth. Now sit back and enjoy the show. Hello, welcome back to the show. So today I'm delighted to introduce you to Natalie Ryan Hebert. Natalie is a very skilled transformational therapist and coach who uses specific tools to shed the layers of limiting beliefs that we have all gathered throughout our lifetimes. And it's those limiting beliefs that keep us stuck from moving forward in our life. And she also has a special interest in working with women that are suffering from PMDD. I just wanted to mention that as well. And we're going to be talking about that a little bit more today. And for those of you who do not know what PMDD is, it's premenstrual dysphoric syndrome. So this condition takes PMS to a whole new level. So if you're someone that suffers severely from PMS, you might actually have something a little bit more going on. And so Natalie has lived through this, and therefore, like most of us, we make our pain our passion. And that's why she decided to go into being a therapist and using hypnotherapy, RTT, as well as just coaching her clients through shedding the various layers of skin that we've all accumulated with limiting beliefs. So again, welcome, Natalie.
Hi, Luella. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm thrilled to have you, and we made this work. It's Natalie is right now. She's a native Australian, so it's her Saturday morning, and it's my Friday evening, and that's what we do. We make things work. So well. As a fellow hypnotherapist myself, I want to find out your story. How did you get into hypnotherapy? What made you study hypnotherapy?
I feel like it was just something I was born to do, even at a really young age. I mean, at the age of 16, I was right into Louise Hay. There was an Australian guy called Michael Rowland, Demekio Rowland, and I went and saw a live talk that he did, and it just blew my mind. It made me realize we have these programs running us, and there's nothing you can do about it. It actually frightened me at the time as a 16-year-old. I thought, I'm just going to end up marrying my father. There's no escape. Like, no matter what I do, the program set, and I had this feeling of the subconscious is really, really powerful. So even as a teenager, I was very interested in it. And I trained in psychology and drama at university. And
Mm.
back then, as a young woman, I wanted to become a drama therapist. I don't even think it existed, but that was I'm going to be a drama therapist because I could see how playing a character through high school, I was in a lot of plays. I did a lot of drama as a young lady, young woman. And
Mm-hmm.
I could see how playing a character sort of changed me. I thought there must be a therapeutic um,
Yeah.
for this, how we can take on, and actually you see that with actors, don't you? You know, where, and often to their detriment, where they'll take on a character, do the method acting, and it will actually be not so healthy for them. But
Right.
um, so I always thought that would be really fascinating. Years later, a long and winding road later, I've been a singer songwriter. Even as a singer songwriter, when I look back at the lyrics and the songs, I didn't want to be Britney Spears. I just wanted to let people know they were good enough. That's always
Mm-hmm.
been the drive behind everything I've ever felt to do, even as a singer songwriter. Um, I was just thinking of the lyrics I wrote the other day that was, "You're like a sun behind the clouds. Why don't you come out and let it show? Your love is stronger than your walls. One day they will fall and you will know all you need to know." I wrote that one
Mm.
when I was 20. And that is actually the premise behind the work I do today as a
Mm-hmm.
therapist, using therapy to break down these walls. These walls are all just conditioning that we've formed to protect ourselves in childhood that kind of keep us held back. So I came
Mm-hmm.
across Marissa Peer,
Mm-hmm.
who I think you know as well,
Mm-hmm.
and she just blew me away. And the
Yeah.
moment I sort of saw her speak, I went, "This is my teacher.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do this. This is definitely my calling. I've been waiting for this. I didn't know this was possible." And I began training with Marissa, and it's been just amazing. It's been
Yeah.
the number of lives I've seen change. My own life has just, there's
Mm-hmm.
been shedding of the skin over and over again. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
What
so
what
that's
can I ask what year you trained with her?
uh, 2018 it was.
I think it
Yeah.
was 2017. And was it in London?
No, I have four kids, and taking a week
Okay.
is not going to be possible. So I did all of the training
Mm.
online, but I just took to it like a
Mm.
duck to water. It was like coming home.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
couldn't get enough of it, and I just dove straight in. And yeah, I've
I
had
know.
somewhere
I
between 1,500 and 2,000 clients now. Like Marissa
wow.
said, it's my clients have taught, like, the initial training was an incredible
Yeah.
gift and a bonding and just mind blowing.
Yeah.
And what I've learned since, what my clients have taught me, it's like I feel like I have this massive map that I keep adding to, this map of human behavior, that this leads to this. And when I hear people speak,
Hmm.
I feel like the way I used to see Marissa, where she could solve someone's problem in 5 minutes. I can hear it and I go, "Yep, I know what this is." And it's not to ever
Yes.
assume, I should say, because only the
Hmm.
client's subconscious mind knows. But because I have that map, it does feel like I have a very good grasp. I almost know what they're going to say next. The intuition is very
Hmm.
strong.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. Um,
Oh,
so
yeah.
that's where,
No,
yeah. Sorry,
I was
you
going
go.
to say, yeah, same, same. When I came across her, and actually was a client of mine that said, do you know of her? And I think they sent me to one of her YouTube videos or something like that. And yeah, I don't know what it was, but as soon as I caught 5 minutes of her, I thought I must train. And I remember binging on
Yeah.
her as well, like, after the training. Um and I have not used it as much as I probably should, and I have no idea why. But I don't discredit it whatsoever. I think we all just have our own, yeah, little tools in our tool belt that we really like. But I do remember the first time I came back to Canada and I tried it. Like actually some of my clients were just waiting, like, waiting for it. And I remember the first man I had the hypnotherapy session with, like, he was blown away and I was even blown away. I was like, oh my God, like I had no idea, this is
Yeah.
this powerful. So yeah, nothing but good things to say about that. But I really, it's incredibly admirable though for you at 16 to have that type of insight. Like I think I was smoking and drinking and just having a grand old. I sure wasn't going into any sort of like Louise Hay programs or anything like that, or. So you did start very early. Good for you.
Yeah, well, certainly the calling and the dream was there from early on. It took me, like
Hmm.
I said, it was a long, winding road. I ended up going into TV and radio production, all sorts of things along the way.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like a whole other chapter that's completely, oh gosh, yeah, I remember that.
Yes.
um, yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, it still blows my mind 5 years on. I still get letters and emails from clients, and I'm just going, this is
Mm.
really incredible. It never stops impressing me how much people
Yeah.
transform. Um,
Yeah.
feels like a
Well,
miracle. It feels like how, and this has been one session, and then listening to them
hmm.
for 21, 30 days. And they're a different person. I take these, and I take an assessment before we begin, a self-assessment. I get my clients to score their symptoms out of 10.
Mm.
So I work a lot with premenstrual dysphoric disorder. That's something I came
Ah.
to myself, and it healed. And really, I didn't know that it could. I just thought, I'm just going to be stuck with this. It's a real challenge. Every time the
Hmm.
hormones would shift, I'd be thrown into this emotional chaos, everything. It was like, the way I describe it now, this is kind of my big body of work. I have a program called the Red Tent, which really is like one of the legacies I'm going to leave on the planet is this education, this awareness around what this premenstrual dysphoria is, because 1 in 20 women suffer with it. Um, and of those, like 25 to 30% will attempt suicide. Like, it's no joke, this affliction. Um, and I say there are three factors to it. There's the hormones themselves, which sort of take you on a bit of a roller coaster. And I think all women to some degree can feel in their cycle
Hmm.
the estrogen rise and then the estrogen drop and then the progesterone rise and everything that comes with that in the luteal phase. But what I found is that the majority, actually pretty much all of my clients who come for premenstrual dysphoria, are artists and healers in some form, yoga instructors, therapists, early years school teachers, nurses, probably 20%
Hmm.
nurses. Those who have huge empathy and creativity are really prone to this. And the third factor is trauma. And as you know, trauma doesn't have to be big T trauma where it's, something. It can be the smallest things that have left a mark. As we always say, it's not what's happened to you, it's the meaning that you gave it
Hmm.
about yourself. And that's the thing that's still stuck. And we can't change the past, but we can change the
Hmm.
meaning that you gave that event. And that's
Hmm.
everything. That's what you're still carrying with you today.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
So that
it's been amazing.
you've used hypnotherapy for PMDD.
Yes. And
Okay.
it's like, it's not meant to be curable, this thing. It's like hysterectomy. That's what we've got on offer for you.
Right.
And many of my
Yeah.
clients, when they're about to get a hysterectomy, they're on the waiting list. And then by some miracle, they come across me on a podcast or my Instagram account or something, and they read client stories. There's a whole lot of clients out there who've just been on Reddit going, oh my God, you have to join the Red Tent program. It's just completely transformed my life. And so they'll find me and they're, at their wits' end. They've tried everything. They've done all the supplements. They're doing yoga. They've done talk therapy. Um, but they've not done this protocol, which includes RTT, but I also use metacognitive psychology. It's sort of combined,
Mm.
not combined as one thing. Like, you have the
Hmm.
RTT, and you also do these other modules, which basically metacognitive psychology is all about becoming present and getting rid of the worry and rumination, understanding why
Mm-hmm.
worry and rumination are there, and then being able to realize when you worry, it's only creating more of the problem. That's a
Mm-hmm.
whole thing. I could talk about that for a whole hour too, but
Mm-hmm.
don't want to
Mm-hmm.
go off on too many tangents.
Right, right. Wow. So it's not the normal sort of one-off session that an RTT hypnotherapy session would be then. It's a bit
Well, you know
different.
what? The amazing thing is often it is one session.
Wow.
I find
Mm.
at the root of it all, like so many, the root belief
Mm-hmm.
that it's coming up when the hormones shift. You're because you're so intuitive and so empathetic and you feel yourself so much, as all
Mm-hmm.
creative empathetic people do, you
Mm-hmm.
get plummeted into the pain. And it's like your pain, as Eckhart Tolle talks about, it's like the pain body just goes possession. And you're like,
Yeah.
you feel possessed by this kind of, it feels like you're possessed. And when
Mm-hmm.
you come out of it, when the hormones shift again, you go, who was that? Oh my God, look at the mess I just made of my life and my relationships. And
Mm-hmm.
it's clean up after. So you go, it's dread, hell, clean up, one good week. That's the life of a woman with PMDD.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
one session is often, I would say 50% of my clients feel a massive shift after one session. And then probably 90% after two sessions are PMDD free. And then there'll be, the last 10% where perhaps
Mm-hmm.
there's more work to do, or they're just
Mm-hmm.
not ready. There can be very rarely the secondary gain is what holds people back. Like, if I get well, what am I going to lose by getting well?
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to make the packed
Mm-hmm.
lunches for the kids because right now my husband does that, or I'm going to have to go
Right.
back to work, or there can be a whole
Yeah.
list of things that are a payoff for staying unwell. And that's something we always need to look at when doing this healing work. Like, you would think, of course I want to get well, but if
Mm-hmm.
I did, suddenly I'd be responsible again. Am
Yeah.
I ready to take responsibility, or is this victimhood a bit too cushy? Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
that's always, and I'm pretty strong with that in my messaging. That because in my own journey, where everything shifted was when I looked in the mirror and I said to myself, "No one is coming to save you," and
Mm-hmm.
I hit myself. I woke myself up,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
all the pictures and everything started to change. And I think we can say that for anything in our lives, whether it's
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
it's you. Don't you get it? You're the one.
Yes. I
Yeah.
know.
Mm.
I know. It's like going through like the dark night of the soul, right? It's like
Mm.
it's not sexy work at all. Um, and it never really ends. Like I think we have big moments like what you're describing with yourself, but I think as soon as people realize it's growth and evolution over a lifetime and
Mm.
it's all good, like all those uncomfortable moments are so worth it. And yeah, you wouldn't want it any other way. Otherwise it's just like stagnant, mediocre, and same old. Yeah. Um, victimization, woe is me. Um, so how old were you when you kind of realized like no one's saving you except the person I'm looking at right now?
Yeah, I think so. I'm 44 now. I reckon. When was it now? It was around about 2018. Amazingly enough, it was around 2017, 2018.
Mm,
A
mm,
lot of things were coming to a head. I was working in a job that looked amazing on paper. I was the head of
mm-hmm,
TV production for this huge, this huge international company. It all looked amazing. You'd think,
mm-hmm,
wow, that's impressive. But
mm-hmm,
I was so miserable. So because I wasn't living my purpose and I knew it. I remember this one day I was walking along and it all just hit me like, I am not here. I'm not doing what I'm meant to be doing with my life. I'm stuck. I am stagnant.
mm-hmm,
I'm in a hole. Like, how do I get out? And I wasn't sure how I was going to get out. And I walked into my doctor's office, which was on the way home. I didn't have an appointment. And I just walked in. She saw the receptionist saw my face. I was just about to burst into tears. And she took me around into the kitchen. And my doctor, wonderful Dr. Hela, came out and made me a cup of tea
Mm.
and just talked to me as one human being to another. And as I spoke to her, I went, I can't go on like this. I'm meant to be helping people.
Mm-hmm.
And that was,
Wow.
yeah. And that was kind of a turning point.
Mm-hmm.
And then the future appears where you have that readiness when you get really honest with yourself and go, listen,
Yeah. Yeah.
you're meant to do big things. And when I look at what I've done now, the numbers, just the number of clients that I've had, the transformations they've seen, my own story, my own success story, I think I'd fall off my chair. I would love to get in a time tunnel, go back to that doctor's office, walk in and go, listen, honey, don't worry, because guess what happens 5-6 years from now? And I wouldn't even believe myself. I don't think it's just too incredible to believe. But that's this growth that can happen when we hit these walls.
Yeah.
You can either stay stuck in it or you can move through it. And that's what I'm passionate about in my work, is getting people through. I call it the shedding of the skins. It's not there is this growth over a lifetime that happens. And every time we grow, I've got loads of analogies to describe this. My favorite one is, remember playing Sonic the Hedgehog? You probably, I don't know, it might be
no,
wrong,
actually.
but anyway, anyone who's ever any video game you play,
okay,
there are levels, and at the end of each level, there's a boss you have to fight. You've got to fight the boss. Do you want to move up to level 2? Well, here's the boss. In Sonic the Hedgehog, it was this guy with this big moustache that would come down in this little spaceship, and Sonic would have to fight him. I used to play this teenager. And I feel like that's what happens too. Like, life is going, okay, you want to level up, really? Well, you finish level 1, you want to go to level 2, you're going to hit something, because your mind will say, that's as far as the comfort zone allows you to go. I allowed you to stretch this far, but if you want to go any further, you've got to fight the boss. Or if you think of a tree, it has a ring that, all its rings. That's every time it shed its bark. The bark says, I can only go so far. So if you want to keep growing, you're going to have to shed this thing. And that's what we have to do. The belief systems that we hold will only hold so long. And if you want to go beyond that, you've got to shed it. And that usually comes with some kind of, I've hit the edge of the comfort zone and fear's kicking in. My mind is trying to pull me back to the familiar, but I don't want the familiar. I want the unfamiliar. I want to go where I've never been before. And our minds, of course, don't like that. What's there? No. I don't know. Stay where it's safe.
Yeah.
But safety is the opposite of growth. Safety is not safety. It's danger.
No.
It's stagnation. It's, I'm never going to become all I was supposed to be.
No.
And so I say to my clients, if you hit this thing, don't be disheartened. Don't think, oh, I'm stuck. And, oh God, I thought I'd healed this. Or I thought I'd moved through this. But not at this level, you haven't.
Right.
I thought I'd healed this visibility fear. Yeah, that was back when you had 100 followers. You've got 5,000 now. Of course your mind is going, what are you doing? And at every level of growth, there's going to be that contraction. And what I love to do is help people through that contraction. Go in and find, what is it? What's the program running that thinks it's keeping you safe, that is actually holding you back from becoming all you can possibly be? And that's what I love using RTT for now, and the work that I do in the coaching, not to pull people out of the depths of the dark, deep depression, anxiety. Where I find I'm really passionate now is like polishing diamonds, not mining a diamond out of the dirt. I've done a lot of that. What really lights me up now is working with people who are already feeling like they're on a mission. They're here to change the world. They've got a big mission, but of course their mind is holding them back, and I want to help them. I love helping the healers of the world to become brighter, because I'm thinking, how can I reach as many people in my lifetime? Like, how can my impact be as big as it can possibly be? If I work one-to-one, like, I'm going to get through, I don't know, 500 people a year. It's a big
I
planet.
know. I
I want
know.
more than that. And so I think, right, if I can activate other healers in the world who are doing this transformational work so they can shine brighter and be more confident and put themselves out there, then
Mm-hmm.
that ripple effect. So each one of those has 500 people a year.
Mm-hmm.
If I can work with 500 of them a year, that's a lot of people that I have sort of vicariously impacted. And then I love
Exactly.
working with people of big influence. What really inspired me recently, there was this video of Anthony Hopkins going around as a meme. And you might have seen it. And if you're listening now, you may have seen it. He looks in the camera and he says, whatever, I can't remember exactly what he says, but the part that hits me is when he looks in the camera and he says, believe it, believe it. And he's so passionate. It's like he's had this huge
Mm.
shift. He's done some inner work and he's trying to
Mm.
empower people. Listen, you're powerful, don't you know it? Like, believe it.
Yeah.
You believe in you. And I'm like, okay, these are the people I want to work with, the people who
Yes.
have influence. If I can lift them,
Mm-hmm.
then my impact grows. So that's what I feel the mission is. I feel like I want to be Merlin to the kings and queens of the world. I don't want to be the king or the queen out there in the front, but I want to be behind the scenes elevating these people. Um,
Yes. Yes.
that's my
I
current.
know I know what you're saying. It's sort of like you know it's your passion when you just want to run up, a mountaintop and scream it. Like I experienced this today too with a client. It's like I saw her potential, and it's almost like actually sometimes in my office, like I remember one client going like you're raising your voice at me or something like that, and I said I'm sorry. I'm just so passionate like about it. Like, you need to understand. So when you talk about Anthony Hopkins going, believe it, I'm just like, I know exactly what you mean. It's that
Oh gosh, wake up! Yeah, like he's
oh
so. Oh, how can I
yeah,
shake you awake? Type. That's how
yes.
passionate it can be. Yeah.
Yeah, because you see it in them, and they cannot see it, and that's the programming you're talking about, and
Mm.
it can run so deep. So I have like a couple questions, and actually I'm just going to open up my window here, and I'll just because it's actually a beautiful evening here as well, and I'm just going to get a little. I can feel my throat kind of. But a couple questions. Do you think we all have that desire that you came across yourself where like I'm meant to do more. I'm meant to be doing more than this right now. Do you think we all have that as humans or not?
In my work with, I mean, obviously I feel that in myself. And so then
Yeah.
you think everyone's like this, surely. But I think I think we all have a path that we're sort of really meant for, or the way that is really going to make us happy.
Mm-hmm.
I see, and you might have seen this with clients as well, that those who come with depression, 9 times out of 10, it's because they had a path and the path
Mm-hmm.
got shut down. And so they went, I'm going to have to walk on this crappy little path. And like, what's the
Yeah.
point? And that's
Yeah.
kind of where I was at too. Like, what's the point? What am I getting
Mm-hmm.
up for today? Sure, I'm being paid, but
Mm-hmm.
um, what is the point? And that it is the apathy that creates the depression. And I think everyone
Mm-hmm.
has something. We've all got gifts, but a lot of people are
Mm-hmm.
hiding and
Mm-hmm.
thinking, who am I to, instead of, like Marianne Williamson says in that brilliant quote, who are you not to be? Like you've been
Mm-hmm.
given these gifts for
Mm-hmm.
free. You're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to share them with the world. You're not meant to hide them away and go, oh, just be
Mm-hmm.
humble. That's
Mm-hmm.
humility, because you didn't give yourself these gifts. You were born with them. Now
Yeah.
go make something happen with them. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think everyone's got something that
Yeah.
gives a sense of purpose. There was
Yeah.
and it doesn't have to be that we're all superstars. We can all make a difference in our own way.
Mm-hmm.
There's a I was at the supermarket the other day, and there's a lot of it's now, scan your own stuff. And I was feeling particularly pretty this day. I had a hat on, which was a
Mm-hmm.
bit overkill, But the sun's so strong here. I was walking home from the shop, so I had the hat on, had a
Mhm.
flowing skirt, and this guy who works there, he's just there to assist people if anything goes wrong with the scanning.
Mhm.
And he goes, I just have to tell you, if you look like a movie star. He said, are you famous? It looks like you should be on TV or something. And he was the most
Wow.
beautiful man. And I thought, and I told my auntie about the experience, and he said, oh, she said, God love that man. She said, he, he brightens up people's days. He looks for the best in people. She said, he said beautiful things to me as well. And I thought,
Oh,
how many people does this man meet
oh,
in a week in a busy supermarket? And how many does he lift up? The way he made my day. I walked out of there feeling like $1 million.
exactly. Oh
And
my
he was
God.
and he works at Coles.
Yeah.
What a difference. Or train drivers. You ever had been there? I've been on trains where the train driver
Yes.
says, good morning, everybody, commuters of London.
Hmm.
Hope you're having a wonderful day. And he'll tell a joke. And I go, look at that.
Yes.
The train driver, but
Yeah.
he's just made a massive difference to the lives of hundreds of people.
Oh my
And
God. I know. I
yeah,
know. I had an experience with that on an airline just recently when I was going to Europe, and yeah, I guess the main steward of the plane or whatever. Oh, I know, he was up in front cracking jokes and just like that's what I thought too. Like he's affected every single person on this plane right now that's trusting the pilot like with their lives, and everybody's happy and laughing, and that's a choice we have every single day, right? Like to spread that sort of love and energy or not.
and then
So
the ripple effect. Now I'm telling this story. Hundreds of
mhm.
people hear this story through this podcast. They're going to get that same uplifted feeling, like he has no idea of the ripple effect.
Yeah,
None of us do. None of us
no,
have any idea how far our
that's a
actions.
good point. That is a
Mm.
very good point. As a coach and a therapist, I don't think we actually believe that half the time, right? And um that's a great reminder. Like you say, the client that contacts you 3 years later and tells, writes you a letter, or those loyal clients that they're fine, they're fine, they're fine, and then they lose somebody in their family and they're right back in your office because you're the one. And yeah, I think that's a great thing to remind us of.
Yeah.
But tell us more about the glass. Like you mentioned to me before we pressed record, how you have great joy in helping people bust those glass ceilings and getting out of their comfort zone. Do you
Yeah.
have a particular client that you can think of when you're recently that you
Oh,
worked with?
there are just so many. I don't even know if I could choose one. But
Mm,
I can tell you, I think how I like to speak about it is in the analogy of the tree shedding its bark, or a
hmm.
snake shedding its skin. If the snake's got to grow, it has to get rid of the current skin. And we're the same with our belief systems if we're going to keep growing. So that's one principle.
Hmm.
Um, and there are sort of patterns in it. It can feel, well, what skin is it? And self-love, self-approval, self-trust, and self-respect are the four areas that I find are worth working on.
Hmm.
Self-love is the expansive part, but we'll hold ourselves back because, well, who am I to? Self-approval is is held back by fear of judgment from other people.
Hmm.
Um, Self-trust is held back by self-doubt, and self-respect is held back by people pleasing, where we don't want to disappoint others, so we disappoint ourselves instead. And they're the four areas that I work with. I have a new program actually, which is called U 2.0, which deals with the shedding of these four skins. Um,
Hmm.
because really, it's usually one of those things. And once you have the awareness of these four areas, then you can go, okay, well, what is it? Which one of the four is strongest right now? Is it
Hmm.
visibility? Is it is it that, and so I'll give you an example of how each can hold you back, just say in your business. Let's say you've got visibility fears, which is a lack of self-approval. Your approval's outside. What does everyone think of me? And that fear of judgment from others. And as you grow, that may come up. If you become more visible, suddenly you do a reel on Instagram and it goes viral and you're like, oh my gosh, there are all these eyes on me. That could trigger the response that says, like, oh my goodness, what are people thinking of me? And you may notice that coming up in your relationship. I remember this happened to me. Suddenly felt like my husband was criticizing every little thing.
Yeah.
Stop picking on me. It's like, what? I'm not.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was really suddenly super sensitive to anything that was perceived criticism because I was suddenly more visible. I'd told my story about PMDD. I'd made it my own story and I'd told it. And I suddenly felt like, oh, what's everyone think?
Yeah.
You take these leaps, then the skin goes, no more. You've hit the end of the company. And so it's being able to break through these at each level. People pleasing, and I didn't think I was much of a people pleaser. I feel like I'm pretty good at, having my own standards. And the way I talk about that, this is the one that we're currently doing within You 2.0 is integrity. And the way I talk about integrity is thinking of it like that a boat has integrity, meaning it can set sail because there are no holes in it. If you want to set sail on your journey in your business, you need to, or continue sailing on, you need to have integrity. If there are holes in your boat, then you're going to feel like I could be taken advantage of. If you're prone to overgiving, you'll hold yourself back from bringing more clients in because you think, I'm going to be overwhelmed. I don't trust myself to stand for myself and set a standard. Like maybe you need to write a contract for working with a client and you go, oh, I won't say that I'm not available weekends because I don't want them to think. Instead of just going, I'm not available weekends. It's a no-go.
Yeah.
And Melanie speaks to this about that's kindness. We think I want to be nice, but it's not nice because later down the road they're going to go, what? You're not available on a weekend? Oh, yeah, I know. Sorry, I didn't say, but no, I'm not. And then it's going to be, oh, well, I wish I'd known because I need weekends.
Yeah.
And so it's not nice in the end. It's kind to say, this is what it is. In a relationship, to go into a relationship with a person and not say from the outset, I want children. I don't know. We'll see. I don't want to scare him off. No, but stand for yourself. Or to say, I require a monogamous relationship. It's totally cool. Look, if you're into polygamy, that's fine. You want polyamorous, not polygamy, or perhaps polygamy, but you want to be polyamorous, that's fine. But I'm just not your person.
Right.
And it's fine to do that from the start. And I love that concept of this is integrity. And once you have integrity, there's a lot of talk about, setting boundaries. And I think of boundaries as gaffer tape over the holes. You only need to put boundaries in if the integrity isn't apparent. I think people do it. When a person has integrity, it's like I wouldn't even dare ask her to do that because I can just feel. But when people can feel a vulnerability that you can push me and I'll give in, they tend to.
Yeah.
And it's like water. It'll go wherever there's a hole.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's another area.
That's a great analogy. I love that analogy about integrity and, having a boat without holes and be able to sail. And I like that. Like there's something about the word boundaries that I never liked. And then even, some of these books that come out, like, I don't remember the author and I'm sure it's an excellent book, but, the name is Boundary Boss or something like that. Like it just sounds so, I don't know. Yeah.
And we don't want to be defensive means I'm vulnerable and I'm going to have to stand here with a baseball bat.
Right.
With my boundaries, let's not do that. Let's just go. And I think of people who there is integrity there.
Yeah.
Bring some people to mind. I think of Barack Obama. I think of Princess Kate Middleton, Kate. They're just a couple to mind.
Right.
Melanie.
Yes.
And you're just like, I know I can't take advantage.
Mm-hmm.
It's I don't even dare. There's so much,
No.
I feel they respect themselves so much that
Yes.
I know now I
Yes.
have to meet them at that level of respect. And that's what
Yes.
we're aiming for in ourselves. I respect myself. I will never run myself under a bus to please another person.
No.
It's
Oh, it's so, yeah, like, we're talking about a few things here that I'm so passionate about too. Integrity, um, respect. Like I'm going to put out a program soon as well. It's like, but like just respect for the body when it comes to nutrition and movement. Like, I mean, that's really what it's about. It's respecting your body. It has nothing to do with weight loss or anything like that. But it's just respecting your mind and your body. Um, and there was something else. Oh, another topic I love, which we talked a little bit about before we press record, and I want to touch on it before we go. But you were telling me that you're a native Australian and you're only back here. You're only back in Australia temporarily before you go back to Denmark, which would be considered your home now.
Yeah, I feel like my
Yeah.
heart's in places. It's a funny thing when you become, because I lived nearly 9 years in the UK. I
Mm.
spent 24 years of my life in Australia. I actually lived 9 months in Italy on a student exchange. So there's a little
Mm.
piece of my heart there. And then Denmark, I've lived for 11 years. I've
Wow.
just taken the citizenship test. I passed the language test and passed the
Wow.
exam, which was,
Congratulations.
oh,
Oh,
there was a lot. There's a lot of history and politics, which aren't my strong points, I have to say. So,
wow.
um,
Wow.
so I'm here in Australia because my husband's a pediatric cardiologist and he's doing a
Hmm.
fellowship here at the Children's Hospital in Sydney. But then we're going back to Copenhagen after that. So yeah, that is home. That's, two of my children are born there and we all speak Danish and
Wow.
speak Danish better than others.
Wow. Wow. I
um,
mean, yeah, tell us about, I mean, talking about respect for the body, like their lifestyle, and then let's talk about trust, what you told me
mm.
about there.
So I think what I said to you before is there is the work-life balance is very good.
Hmm.
Maternity leave is subsidized by the government for 12 months. Equality of the sexes is very important. When I say maternity leave, what I really meant to say is parental leave,
Hmm.
because anyone can take it, um, not just the mother, but father too. And so when you go for a job in Denmark as a 26-year-old woman, you're not there going, oh, no, there's no way they're going to hire me because I'm of childbearing age very soon. The male is just as likely to be going on parental leave as the female.
Wow.
And so
Wow.
it's not perfect, but
Yeah.
they've certainly, yeah, they've got it
It's,
really good. The childcare over there is top class, beautiful, subsidized by the government. Um, so you're not sort of working to pay for the childcare. It's like the taxes are high, I'll tell you that.
mm,
But no one resents paying the taxes because the roads are beautiful. There are cycle
mm,
paths for everybody. There's
mm.
university is free, healthcare is covered, maternity, parental leave is covered. Um,
Wow.
Everything's looked after, and so crime's very low because everyone's looked after. No one needs to go
Yeah,
rob. And
exactly.
and as well, because everyone's looked after, trauma is reduced because there aren't people struggling under financial pressure,
Hmm.
fighting with each other in the home, creating trauma in the children. I mean, you can see the ripple effect of caring for a society in this way,
Yeah,
so that everyone is okay, even those who are the most hardly done by are okay. They're looked
yeah,
after. And there's
yeah.
such a tribal feeling there that no one resents. Like you hear in Australia, when I grew up here, you'll hear people say, oh, bloody dole bludgers, like, which is, I don't know if that makes sense to you, but it means,
No.
oh, okay, so the dole, so funny, but that makes no sense. It's so Australian. The dole is the benefits that you get. So if you're unemployment benefits, you go on
Oh,
the dole.
okay. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. Yeah, we have our own sayings here, but yeah, yeah. Okay.
yeah, so dole bludger is someone who's just like, I'm just going to sit on benefits and do
Exactly.
nothing. And people
Yeah.
there's just no concept of that in Denmark. I remember finding it really interesting. I met someone and I said, "Oh, and how's everything going?" "Oh, yeah, good." How's work going?" "Oh, I'm actually on stress leave at the moment." And there wasn't a hint of shame or embarrassment.
No.
It was just said black and white, "I'm on stress leave. Yeah, I've been on stress leave for about 6 weeks." And it was totally normal to say this with,
Yeah.
and everyone's just
Cool.
that's I don't feel, I'm so sorry that you're paying for my
Right.
time off work. It was just
Yeah.
one day, and my taxes have been paying into this, and I've helped many others who've been having a tough time. There's just this feeling of a tribe where you help
Yes.
each other,
Mm.
and this tribal thing, because the population's only sort of 6 million. So it's different. Bernie Sanders
Hmm.
talks a lot about in the US of, we should bring in the way they do it in Denmark. I don't know how it would go because there are so many cultures, there's so many people.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
how would we do that here? But because of the
Yeah.
size of the country and the population size, and it isn't hugely multicultural. It's so a lot of Danes are Danes are Danes are Danes. They've been there for a
Right.
long. I think the language is quite a barrier. If you want to move to Denmark, you're going to have to learn the
Yeah.
language, even though they are very good at English. Yeah, but
Yeah.
so to the
Yeah.
point where I was telling you this before, you'll see prams outside cafes lined up with babies asleep in them, with little baby monitors in, and the mum's inside enjoying a cappuccino. And that is the level of trust. Play dates
Yeah.
for kids. My kids will call me from after school club and go, "Hi, can I go and have a play date at Matilda's house?" I'm like, "Who's Matilda?" "She's just a girl I met at after school club today." "Okay." And then if I'm lucky, the mother will get on and go, "Oh, hi, I'll text you our address so you can pick her up at about 6 o'clock." I'm like,
Hmm.
"Okay, cool,
Yeah.
thanks." I
Yeah.
haven't ever met the people, but there's no, who are they? My
Yes.
child. There's just
Yes.
trust. There's
Yeah.
so much trust.
That's a
So
really, that's a really good point. Like sometimes I know, when you meet clients, like they have such a high level of mistrust, but no wonder, you're right. Our culture breeds it. It just, you know, it breeds it in every single way. Like you say, like, why wouldn't we trust, like, our daughter's classmate? Like, I know, it's funny you mentioned about the prams, like that's for it's baby carriages, we call them here, but like I did that as well. And like we were talking about the Canadian winters being, like not similar to yeah, but it's bloody cold. And I used to do the same thing. I used to wrap my kids up like a noodle and in winter with a plastic covering over and just have them in the front yard.
yeah,
And I know neighbors would sometimes just gasp, at me, but like they slept like a lamb. They slept
they
so
do.
good.
They love it. It just knocks them out for this long
Yes.
sleep. It's amazing. So what what
Yeah.
what why were you doing that? Do you have Scandinavian roots, or what was it that made you decide?
Well, I don't know. I mean, my father was from the Netherlands, but I don't think that was it. I just think my husband and I always had a huge love and affinity for nature, and we knew our kids thrive best, outside. And so we were, very diligent about dressing, like everybody dressed up and just went outside, after their school and played for a good half hour, no matter what the weather. And yeah, we just feel it's so healthy for them to be out there. And, it's like, what do they say? The saying is, it's not, how cold it is. It's just, how many layers are you going to put on today, sort of thing.
Like they
So
say, that such thing as bad weather, just the wrong clothing.
exactly. That's it. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. And, I mean, they're still all like that, now that they're 18, 20, and 22. Yeah, we love it. Love nature. So Natalie, I think I should probably call it an evening with, or a day. You have your full day to approach now. And is it the May long weekend for you as well? For us, it's a May long weekend. It's called.
Yeah, no,
Mm.
not in Australia they don't. It's we'll be
No.
back on Monday. But
Okay. Okay. But okay, so to sum up your signature offers, you talked about it's just so that our clients or my audience, again, and I should also say that RTT online is just as amazing as it is in person. So don't let that
in,
deter
yeah,
you.
in some ways it's better because you don't have to drive home afterwards. You can be in your
Yes.
you can be in your own bed. You can fall asleep at
Mm-hmm.
the session if you want to. So
Yeah.
many benefits to it being online. I
Mm-hmm.
love in person. I really, of course, tactile, could put my
Yeah.
hand, give the client a hug at the end. I do feel at the end
Yeah.
been through something so powerful together.
Mm.
Oh, I wish I could hug you, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's fantastic online. All of my clients now are online, and I've got
Mm.
all over the world, and that's the most amazing thing to have. Yeah, the whole world has opened up.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
it's your signature offer then it would be.
Well, there are a few ways. Like I have the red tent is
Mm.
for it's for premenstrual
Yeah.
emotional issues.
Yeah.
Anyone could benefit from it, really. But I think if you're listening to this and you recognize those symptoms,
Mm-hmm.
go and look up PMDD if you haven't already had a diagnosis,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then heal your trauma because the
Mm-hmm.
PM will heal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I have U 2.0, which is for anybody because I work on these 4 skins that hold us back, which
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter who you are. These in some way, especially if you're working for yourself, I find this tends to come up more often because we're always the see if I can say the word
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurial journey.
Yes.
One
Yes.
where you are coming up against comfort zones quite regularly.
Right.
So,
Right.
so
Oh,
yeah.
oh yeah. Oh yes, for sure. And yeah, you reminded me, I did send one of my clients to your free masterclass. I think you have, right? On your Linktree profile. There was something.
Yeah, it's called the Shedding the Skins Masterclass, and it's free. It's within my free group, the Transformers. So you're welcome
Okay.
listening to come and join the Transformers group, and I have a couple of free masterclasses on there. One of them
Great.
is insights from a 340K year, which was just business insights.
Wow.
There, and then the other is the Shedding the Skins Masterclass, which goes deeper into this concept of the skins that hold us back and what we can do about them.
Wow.
And then of course you can work with me one-to-one. I have
Mm-hmm.
30-day, 60-day packages. I can put bespoke packages together. I work
Mm-hmm.
with very high-end clients sometimes and celebrity clients who require a different level of service, and we can put together anything. It's just so you can buy.
Customizable.
Yeah, it's all levels. You can come in. My lowest price is You Are Worthy Hypnosis, which is $22, and then it goes up from there.
Yeah. No, wonderful. Beautiful offer suite, it sounds like. So, okay. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and I'm happy we made this all work out.
Yeah, me too. Lovely.
Okay.
Have a lovely evening and enjoy your long weekend over there, Luella. And thanks
Mm.
again.
Thank you. It was a pleasure meeting you. And everyone else, we'll see you next week. Okay. Bye-bye. Thanks once again for joining me on another great episode of I Think I Can podcast. If you liked it, please subscribe below so you don't miss out on any future episodes. And until next week, treat each day like it was your last, because each new day is a privilege that we shan't take for granted. Cheers and have a great week. Bye-bye.